Working.
Yes, excellent. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So we've arranged a bit of a session to have a conversation with the very lovely Kate Halfpenny of Halfpenny London, who, just to add a little bit of context, I've known for about 10 years now, I think. I know that it's been 10 years since I published my first article on your brand, Kate, and you were one of the first designers who really kind of legitimized what I was doing and made me feel like I was onto something quite special. So that was way back in January 2010. So that was amazing. And we've been working together ever since, and
Yeah.
me helping you spread the Halfpenny London word and just help make those connections, our bridal community with your beautiful dresses. So please introduce yourself to your readers and listeners and just let them know who you are and what you do.
So I'm Kate Halfpenny, and I am the designer behind the brand Halfpenny London. I launched in 2005. It was almost a labour of love, my wedding dresses. I was a celebrity stylist and costume designer for 20 years. And the wedding dresses I did on the side. So I did my degree in bridal wear, women's wear, specialising in bridal wear in 2000. In 1998, 99, I graduated. So back then I did bridal separates and saw a massive gap in the market for brides to change from day to night and not carry around this huge big dress, and thought, we don't all want to have that huge silhouette. So yeah, Halfpenny London was born 2005, and yeah, it's grown now to, we've got nearly 40 stockists globally, and we've got 3 boutiques on Woven Walk in London, in Bloomsbury. One is the hub for our bridesmaids and sort of head office. The second is the design studio and atelier, where we do all our fittings and making of the dresses. And then the original store, number 10, is where we see all our brides. So there's 2 big fitting rooms there over 2 floors.
And they're located right in this little sort of the boutiques opposite each other, and so
9 and 10 are opposite, and then one's at the very beginning of the walk. So yeah, we've kind of flanked it, really. I think we should rename it Halfpenny Walk.
It feels like, because I've watched you, I know when you moved into that boutique and I've watched you kind of take over the space, it does feel like you're starting to take over the street. I definitely think you should rename it after you.
Yeah, definitely. And it's our 15th anniversary this summer from launching the brand. So, yeah, we worked hard.
Like in this new era that we're in now with COVID and everything, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But just before we sort of enter into what's happened since lockdown and how it's impacted you and your life and your business, I just wanted to say a little bit more about the brand and how you would describe your aesthetic, kind of what inspires you. Just tell us a little bit about that magic and that passion that makes Halfpenny so amazing.
We like to call ourselves cool and romantic, so we've kind of pinned the word coolmantic. I think our dresses, we don't have a bride, not one type of bride. We have a bride that for me, style is really an attitude, and our dresses give you the confidence to just feel the best version of yourself, and that's what we try to do. So we do every person from every walk of life, and I'm fascinated and inspired by all of our different clients. So, beautiful girls in their 20s that are marrying their childhood sweetheart, to women in their 30s that are marrying the guy they met at uni, to anyone really. People like me that had met somebody not till I was in my mid-30s. People that get married for the second time, people that are finally getting married having been with their partner for 20 years. Like, we have something for everybody, and that's why I think our brand's so unique. We don't say, our kind of bride is, she works in this industry and she's this demographic. That's not us. We are something for everybody.
And I love that so much. And I know from conversations we've had before, where I've said, talk to me about, what you're doing for curve wear. And you're like, Annabelle, we don't have curve wear because all our dresses fit every bride. We don't have sizes. We just have dresses, and we will make dresses look amazing on any woman who steps through those doors. And I love that about your brand, because you have that natural, inclusive feel that you don't need to push and advertise. It's just kind of part of what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a size 20, 22 myself, so I know the frustrations that I get when I walk into a shop and I can't have something. So we have created samples in 2 or 3 different sizes. So we've got, you know, the standard shop samples, which are 10s and 12s, and then we've got 14s, and then we've got 18s and 20 sizes in the shop. Of course, not everything. It's far too expensive for a brand our size to make 2 sample size sets. But if we do make a second sample, we never make it in the same size as the first. So we try to sort of diversify that way. But my team are really clever and able to kind of drape fabrics of the dresses and to pin them and make you feel amazing. We don't kind of just try and pour you into the wrong size. We do our very best to enable you to have that vision. And it's the same when I'm doing bespoke, you know, it's the same kind of process.
So, and what about the kind of, because I know you've always been driven by fabrics, like what's your process? Just want to get a little bit of an idea about how you get from the idea to this beautiful dress that's on the hanger or waiting to be tried on by the bride. What's that process for you?
Silhouettes and cuts are very much dictated to by amazing cloths, and I do a lot of moulage and draping. But yeah, I'm very inspired by fabrics, so sometimes that's the starting point rather than the cut. It evolves. I don't do a massive range plan. I design, and then I design another, and then another, and it just grows. And the collection always starts with a point of inspiration. Like the painter collection was inspired by artists, and I kind of
beautiful.
Go down a rabbit warren, and it just evolves. I'm not literal from my inspiration through to my collections, but there's always a starting point. The new collection so there's a collection we've just launched, which is Daydreamer, and that was it was all about the daydreaming on the train from my commute from Kent to London. So the last few collections have all been inspired by leaving London and kind of what that journey's meant to me. So that's
left London to live in Kent, didn't you?
Yes.
Many years living in the city, right in the middle of the city, all the busyness.
Yeah. I swore I would never leave London. I lived 10 minutes from the boutique in Camden. I was like, never, we don't need a big garden when I had my son. And then I was like, I need a big garden for my son. So he left when he was 2 and he's now 4. So yeah, we moved here in the summer before his 3rd birthday. And it was the best thing we ever did. And I feel so incredibly lucky to be here. But we're 8 minutes from the sea. We're near the marshes of, you know, it's just so magical. We're in Faversham, just on the Kent coast. So near Seaside is our nearest beach. And
that sounds amazing. And so would you consider yourself more of a country girl now then?
Without a doubt. I mean, I grew up in Derbyshire and I didn't know the world of styling and costume, and I you know, the whole career that I had, I didn't even know it existed. I was pre-social media. You know, I'm 45. I didn't know that such a crazy world existed. So I've had the most blessed career. I feel really lucky, and now I feel I'm having a second career with my wedding dresses, because I didn't open the boutique till 2013, and it was like a blessing. My husband was like, you've really just got to go for it with these wedding dresses. I think you've got something really special, and you know, you're so busy with it now, you can't possibly do both. You can't be running around London prepping these TV commercials and flying off to South Africa to shoot them and coming back, and we were starting our IVF journey, and it was like too much. So yeah, I took the leap of faith, and the wedding dresses have taken off, and I now employ 15 people, and I'm so lucky.
It's incredible to watch it from an outsider's perspective. And I do still want to touch a little bit on that, how your move is inspired not just your lifestyle change, but also your new collection. But you mentioned something there about your childhood, and it sounds so dreamy. And I know that you're very close to your mum.
Yeah, and my dad.
I want you to tell us a little bit more about that experience, because I've seen some lovely video footage of where you've worked with your mum and how hands-on she is and how much she's inspired you, and I think that's a lovely story. So tell us a bit more about that.
Well, Mum had lived in Derbyshire her whole life, and she had a little foray as a knitwear designer, and she used to work in manufacturing. So that's how I saw firsthand the devastation it caused to the economy and to my family and to my friends' families that worked in manufacturing. And my grandmother was a denim machinist where she fixed Rolls Royce's overalls. So they didn't just throw them away when they got a hole in, they went and got repaired, and then they,
And
you know,
yeah,
and that was a full-time job. She fixed overalls for Rolls Royce. That was, you know, what she did. So I've very much been surrounded by creatives. My dad went later in life and was a graphic design and CDT teacher, and so he's always had beautiful writing that I would always kind of copy. And my grandmother, the sewing, and my mum was always embroidering. And yesterday I had a brooch on she made when I was around 7, and she, those wooden curtain poles with kind of the grooves in, she cut that down and made little discs that were kind of scalloped, and then she'd hand paint them. And yesterday's had a beautiful rainbow on, and it was, she found it and she said, look what I found. And I was like, can I have that? And so I've been wearing it, and there's another one with a little flower on that she found in a box. So I've always been surrounded by, you know, creatives. And mum she's in her mid-70s, and she lived in Derbyshire her whole life, and now moved to Kent 6 months after I did. So she's like, why didn't we do this sooner? So she's loving it, living near the sea. You can drive out the end of her road and she can see Whitstable in the distance. And
sounds incredible, and so nice for her to have that. Well, I don't know if I had a chance during lockdown to be closer, but you know, all that aside, nice for her to be closer.
I've been able to do the shopping. I've been able to, you know, go and drop shopping off, and you know, she's been able to talk to Sylvester from her drive while he's been strapped in the back of the car, and he's been going, I want to get out. I want to go and give brother a hug. And
no, it's so hard, isn't it?
There.
To fight that human instinct to want to hug and just kiss and be close to people.
That's it. I'm so missing human contact, but I feel it's so close now. We're nearly there. We're nearly there to be able to stop bubble socialising and being with our tribes again, and getting together with our sisters. And
let's talk about that in a minute, because I'm really keen to explore how the whole COVID thing's impacted your lifestyle and your business. But so just tell me a little bit more about your new collection then, because obviously this move has had a big impact, having more time to think and just be within your own mind and thoughts, and just tell us about it.
It was literally inspired by Daydreaming, and that's where I started designing the collection, on the train when I was just listening to Yo-Yo Ma on my phone and just dreaming out of the window. And the time that I then had, you know, it's an hour each way into London. I am only there 2 days a week, so for that I feel incredibly lucky, and that won't be changing moving forward either. I mean, if anything, I want to go into London just maybe 1 day or 2 days a fortnight or something. I love being at home. I'm massively missing my team hugely, so you know, they used to come down here 2 days a week, different team members, and so hopefully we can start.
So you've got the work set up at your home as well. You must have.
I've got a studio here where we moved, with a big round marble table in, and it's painted dirty pink, and it's a bloody mess right now because Sylvester keeps kind of going in there.
Robot lessons.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got some campaigns there as well, haven't you? You've got beautiful.
Yeah, we've shot the last 3 campaigns we've shot here. So since I moved, we shot The Painter, The Songbird. I'm Daydreamer, and actually the campaign images are shot in this yellow room.
I can recognise.
Yeah.
So, the campaign is beautiful, stunning.
Yeah, it's kind of I'll show you, it's kind of a sort of a bonkers bright yellow.
Oh, I love it. It's very, very, knowing you and knowing your husband and your very eclectic taste. It's very Halfpenny, Duffy.
Yeah, it is.
You've got your own
a big drinks trolley sat next to me, which has been quite handy.
I would imagine. So that is fantastic, and I'm very excited about helping you spread the word about your beautiful new collection. And I know you've decided to digitally launch it over the past couple of weeks.
Yes.
How did you come to that decision? Because obviously when we went into lockdown, the bridal fashion world was literally just about to launch all of their new collections, and that came to a very abrupt halt. And so people have had to work out what it means to their business, what's going to happen. So what was it for you? How did you come to that?
So we were supposed to launch our new collection at the end of March in the UK, and then mid-April in New York. And quite quickly, I feel like we were very reactionary. We closed 2 weeks before everyone else did, but we'd sent everyone home with all their work. And I was like, girls, we can ride this out. We can just carry on from home, and let's start virtual appointments straight away. So I do feel that we were prepared. We've got everything. When they announced everyone has to close, we'd already gone,
Yeah.
and we'd already kind of secured all the shops and made sure everyone had got all of the equipment. We'd got new iPads for people, or the laptops, or we sent people home with their big Macs so that they could still continue to work.
Yeah.
And it was kind of crazy. It was almost like, oh, we were just going to go home for a few weeks, work from home, and it'll all pass on. And I can't really quite believe it, what we've just gone through, this insane couple of months roller coaster. I took Sylvester out of school also 2 weeks before, because one of the dads had coronavirus. His kid had been at school. The dad is a friend of a friend, and they hadn't told anyone. Sorry, it's just reminding me to join another meeting. They hadn't told anyone, so I was like, I don't know what this means, so I'm just going to take Sylvester out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been an insane journey. We've been having team meetings on a Monday lunchtime, and then we do a pub quiz on a Friday afternoon. People are taking it in turns to do that. And the team have come together incredibly, and I feel so incredibly blessed to have such an amazing team. I've got the best team ever, and for me, the most important thing is to cherish them and to look after them and to make sure they're okay and to keep them safe. So the reopening of the store is taking them all on, their health and well-being on board. So
I'm going to come on to that reopening thing, because we've literally just had guidance this very weekend about how non-essential, retail can open up. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So the collection, obviously you would have had this shock, like, what the heck are we going to do? So what did you consider postponing it at all? Have you?
Sorry, I completely digressed on the last question, didn't I?
It's really interesting, and that's what I love about these more conversational Zooms. So how did you get to the point of deciding we're going to do a digital launch now? And what does it mean? Like, where does a physical launch fit in? What's going to...
So because we were like, this isn't going to happen. Bridal market's not going to happen. And we cancelled New York back then anyway, because we were like, that's not going to happen. So we made some footage in the atelier with the dresses on mannequins and a beautiful entry video, but we'd also shot all the behind the scenes of our shoot for our lookbook.
You'd already done that.
Yeah, we always do that. And we're always 6-7 months ahead. We've already done the next collection, which we're supposed to launch in September, and we've already started on next March's collection. So we'll come to the rescheduling of all of that as well, because we're changing all of our seasons too.
Very interesting to hear about that.
But so we kind of had all of the collateral and everything. So if we felt that we wanted to share it, we would. But then we all had a meeting, and we were like, for me, it's the wrong time. I don't have an appetite to share anything that feels like I want to sell anything. It didn't feel right. I agree with you. I just felt that people are going through crises. People are losing their jobs. People are going to be put on furlough where their salaries are slashed. People are confused. And like me, I became a full-time parent and a wife and a housewife, and my husband an at-home dad, and we just suddenly became
easier said than done, right?
Yeah, and it was confusing, and it's kind of, we're very hands-on parents, James and I. We share the load 50-50. We split the drop-offs and collections, and on the days I'm working in London, James picks Sylvester up and takes him swimming, and they go and build camps and have their fun, and but to be thrown into that, you can't, there's no, we've tried to work out how we work from home when Sylvester's here, and if I can hear him in the garden or he shouts me, I can't. My priority right now, and I'm sure other parents will feel the same, and I am excited to bring in somebody that can help play with him, and
it's
he's sick of seeing us too.
And I feel like I've been through a real process the past 8 weeks of the whole shock. How the hell am I going to deal with this? I'm the most rubbish parent in the world. I can't juggle homeschooling and trying to run a business as well. I've almost gotten used to it a bit now. I'm starting to feel a bit more comfortable with it all, but still kind of doing the bare minimum homeschooling, literally.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, Syl's only 4, so
Right.
I'm not feeling guilty there. And I think the life skills and the cooking skills and the camp building
Yeah.
skills, the monster skills and the painting, you know, some days I stick an easel in the garden and just go paint. He's like, this is you, mummy. And I'm like, all right, that's
And
nice.
to add some reality to the context, I've got our painting easel outside the office door with fluorescent pink saying, do not disturb, Zoom in process, because my girls are out at the moment with their dad, so they'll be back soon. So if the dogs bark, that's real life.
Yeah.
So you got to the point where you thought, I guess at first it did feel uncomfortable. It just, we were kind of just, weren't we? And it was so shocking.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I remember the Friday of the weekend where the Prime Minister announced we were going into lockdown. I felt like I was grieving that weekend.
Yeah.
I literally cried, like purged all of this emotion. I just thought, this is it. This is that back of your head fear that you have. You know, you dare to think about it's happening.
Yeah.
Life's changing, life's ending. You're like, nobody knew what was happening.
It's been strange, but don't you feel that it's kind of put all your ducks in line? Don't you feel that you've seen the strength and amazingness of your friends and your family and the love that you have around you and your teammates? And you know, it's made me go mad some days, and you know,
the wobble, there's definitely up and down days, but it's completely, for me, solidified. So it's really shown who the strong people in my life are. People who I know I can fall back on and rely on. Those, you know, the real colours have come to the fore. But yeah, I know it's given certainly a lot of time to think about what's more important, what's important to prioritise. So yeah, I guess you arrived at the point where you decided we're going to do this. We're going to launch.
And then we, as my kind of press release said, we couldn't be silenced. People were asking for when the new collection was going to be launching. And then what we've soon realised is, you know, when I'm faced with sort of darkness and trauma, I turn to creative and imagery and inspiration and
100%.
want to be sort of fed that inspiration. And then we got contacted by the CDFA in the States, which is the Fashion Designers Council out there, and they wanted to launch our collection during New York Bridal Market on their platform. You know, no cost. It wasn't kind of a sponsorship thing. It was like, you know, we've got other designers, we're going to do this. Do you want to be
part
part
of a digital thing as well out there?
Yeah, so they just did a digital presentation of the lookbook and everything. So we were like, and then I guess bridal titles wanted to talk about things, and people needed collateral and imagery, and they couldn't be silenced. So we thought, well, let's share it. But then if we share it, we need to share it with our stockists first. So we sent it out to our stockists and we said, this is literally for inspiration. This is by no means, you know,
no pressure.
We don't want you to buy it. We know that you're closed. You're in exactly the same position as us, with little revenue coming in, but they're all so inspired, and they're all ordering, because when we come out of this, we want to be excited and have amazing stuff. So
that's very interesting. So I think what I want to do is explore a little bit about how this has left you feeling as a person. So going back to the start of the lockdown, I know you've explained a bit about how, you know, the creativity, not being able to sort of access that creativity must have left you feeling quite strange and quite, I guess, overwhelmed. You're a very creative person. So that must have been quite a process for you to go through as well. So what did you do, like at the start of lockdown, when you had to stay home? What happened in the first sort of few days and weeks in your life then? How did your life change?
We're very social. When we bought this house with all these spare bedrooms and
your hotel
entertaining space, we were like, that's because we always want to be surrounded by friends and fill the house with laughter and fun. And for us, fortunately, it had been my birthday the beginning of March, so we'd had a dinner party for like 20 people and everyone had stayed over, and it was wonderful. And it was supposed to have been 6 people for dinner, and it just, in usual Kate Halfpenny style, it all got blown out of proportion and turned into some big old rave up. So it was brilliant, because then it was kind of the last time me and all our friends, you know, a big group of us were all together, and it was kind of, I suppose it kept us going, knowing that we'd just
social juice
everyone.
Yeah.
So it turned into lots of kind of, you know, just being in the garden. We've got a big wild garden that needs digging and taming, and my husband built flower beds, vegetable patch boxes, and I tended to the flower beds, and he's pulled ivy off the wall, and him and Sylvester have built a sort of a camp in some bushes, and we literally just felt like we'd turned into the dolls and kind of like baking and thinking of what the future holds as us as a family. And it, for me, 2020 was the year of adventure, and I'd been away every month already from January, February, and a trip in March, and April was a bridal market in New York, and May, James's birthday, we were going to Copenhagen, and June I was in I can't say the European country in case my friend hears it, because it was a surprise and we're going to redo it. But yeah, I'd got something planned for every month, whether it was a work trip or a social trip. And actually then it starts to make you evaluate your carbon footprint more, and, you know, planting trees. For, you know, every dress we sell now, I really want to look at how we can offset that and plant a tree. And the new collection that I've just started designing, called Freedom, and that ironically was about that was inspired by the luxury of time, and how the luxury objects of desire used to signify luxury, and now for me, if you've got time, you couldn't be richer, and you couldn't be.
Fascinating how the concept of luxury has changed for people.
Yeah.
So I'm really,
but that's the brief that I wrote back in January, and then this has all happened. So it's kind of
lines,
And so that collection, which will now launch later in 2021, maybe even in the early 2022, is going to be 100% sustainable and British made, and using English companies, some English fabric companies. Yeah. So we've got a big meeting at 3:30 today to talk about more of that. So that's kind of come out of lockdown. The collection wasn't supposed to be, and I was like, we've done everything else, and for me it's really important now to start drilling down what it is that's going to make our world last longer. And I feel lucky because we aren't in the rag trade where we have surplus stock. We don't. We have sample sales, which moves any stock, or we've got a little archive of key samples that we want to save, but we make to measure, and we only have 1 or 2 or 3 sample collections that are a press sample and a shop sample, and maybe some spares in different sizes. And we aren't mass producing.
Do you think that like generally the general population, because I'm sensing this, that they are getting it this time, and that this has given everybody a huge opportunity to really think and evaluate what they want in their lives in terms of what they're consuming? And I've heard so many of my friends and my business colleagues saying, I haven't bought anything, and I don't intend on buying anything, or I'm not going to buy the same, or I'm having a mass clear out and I'm only going to buy ethical clothes. I know, you know, the provenance of where they were made and how they were made. I'd rather pay more for them. It feels this time that people, you know, for all that Greta Thunberg did, it took a virus come along and kind of change everybody's opinion like that.
There is a slight worry that the world and the environment is taking a bit of a backseat while the coronavirus has happened, and I think, I do think we need to look at that and see what.
Interesting. I'm seeing a lot of designers now starting to ask how and consider how they can be more ethical and sustainable, and also that chatter in our like closed groups of brides is a bit noisier. People are genuinely starting to pay more attention to wanting to purchase from businesses that they feel are doing more, you know, or to be more ethical and sustainable. So I know all your clothes are already made in the UK, and that you're trying to make that process as ethical as it can be is really encouraging. And I think that this can only follow in your suit.
I mean, we already changed all of our packaging and all of our branding to vegetable inks and recyclable, and all of the boxes and the stickers and things that you can take off and reuse. And, you know, trying to have a team breakfast on some days where I provide everything, so there's little packaging, and we're looking at kind of eating together. But right now that's all got to change because we're not allowed to have those big old lunches. So it's just small steps. And you know, Mother of Pearl, the brand, is one to look at, that is smashing it sustainably and has an incredible voice. And I have a huge admiration. I went to a talk of hers, and it's
Familiar with that brand actually for the reasons why ethical.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
hear her. So
Sorry.
what's that person said that's inspired you so much then?
Well, it's just all of the efforts that she's making to kind of have as little waste as possible within her business. I mean, it's more difficult when you have an existing business to steer that big ship and to start changing it, and to start, to stop using suppliers, and to try and buy fabrics as close to home. But the reality is that that's not always possible. But if you can start looking at the provenance and go right back to who was weaving that fabric, and and mother of pearl can do that, she's quite astonishing. So I think we can all learn.
It would be amazing, I think. You talked about your heritage and your mum and your aunt, is it, who used to work in the factories?
Yeah.
That would be the dream, to have more of the factories reopen in the UK, and to sort of take this concept of globalization and reverse that, and start thinking more of localization, and how we can make local, and employing the very local seamstresses and fabric makers and mills and whatever. And I'm loving that. I'm seeing your brand erring more onto that path now, and that's so inspiring.
Yeah, we want to open our own factory, and not just produce for us, but produce for other people. So that's what the virus is allowed.
Can you say any more about that? Is that a bit of a top secret, or can you say any more about that right now? Or
it's in very, very early stages, but that's the dream. It always has been. I mean, we manufacture a lot of our own stuff anyway, but to be able to have our own.
I find so hugely encouraging. And if that's something that can, come out of all of this, and more people encouraged by that, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me about, I know that obviously we were at the point where everybody was about to launch their collections, and now the whole fashion scene, the schedule is up in the air. What do you think is going to happen there? I mean,
I'm glad. Saint Laurent and Gucci and all the big brands are like, we're not doing this anymore. And the schedules had sort of gone crazy. The seasons and the schedule and the way that the world's changing, and the buying patterns, and the people wanting it now as soon as they've seen it, and then high street brands copying it. It was a mess. And I just think,
broken system, you feel already? Perhaps this
say again?
It was a broken system, do you feel already?
It was totally a broken system. And I just think, people are talking about putting men's and women's fashion weeks together, and couture, and not being all different times of the year. And I just think we were just oversaturating the market with newness. And I know me, I'm only going to put 6 new dresses out this season, but I thoroughly enjoy what I do, and then I'm so inspired as I'm doing it, that the collection grows and grows and grows and grows. And then I don't know, is there a need for such huge collections? And that's twice a year. When I launched in 2013, I didn't do that. I dropped dresses as and when, and that 1 or 2 dresses.
Do that then, do you think? Or will you always have like seasonal, but in a different kind of season? Or will you go back to just dropping dresses and collections when you want to?
Do you know what? We haven't worked it out yet, but
no, and I think that's cool. I think people need to know it. We're still in the middle of this, aren't we?
Yeah, there's a collection completely finished called Out of This World, and that was supposed to launch in September, October, New York Bridal Market, October. And I don't know when we're going to launch that. We're really holding that back. I feel that I want Daydreamer to run. It's so current, it's so now, it's so perfect. And all my collections, I feel, are quite timeless. So there's all the new collections over the last few years that are still just really beautiful and selling well. So I mean, the Out of This World is out of this world. It's much bigger and crazier than we've done before. But I hate having to wait to release something, but I want Daydreamer to have its moment.
I think so, and I think that what I'm detecting for you, and what I'm seeing as an observer from the outside, is that possibly the way forward now is going to be smaller and less. More kind of artisan, made here, localized. That kind of, just a sense of it being smaller. and
Yeah,
more maintainable and a bit kinder to the planet at the same time.
exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
I
really
agree.
totally fascinating. It's kind of, I wonder how designers, and this isn't being critical of any particular designer at all, but I can't, my head can't get around how so many dresses can be designed in one collection or included in one collection, and then maybe twice a year for each season.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I could design a new dress every single day. I'm so inspired by my clients, my fabrics, my with my team. The, you know, oh, this sleeve and this dress, but with this detail. And so no, I do understand that. I love the newness. I love to inspire people, and I love to create that dress that's potentially for a new consumer that I've not dressed before. And so yeah, I could design a new dress every day, and I think that's why I have this job, because I absolutely love what I do, and I love making people feel incredible, and I love having the privilege and the honor of making a dress for the most important day of people's lives, other than, you know, they're going on to having children or getting that dream job. But you know, whoever
one of the most,
going to spend that money on that outfit, you know, I feel very privileged that they'll put that role with me and my team. So
yeah, I always really feel that from you. I always feel it's a very, very personal thing for you. And your team also, I see more as like a family. It's something
yeah,
really magic you've got with your brands. And I don't know whether that's a very intentional marketing thing or something that's just grown like very naturally.
yeah, it's not a marketing thing at all. It genuinely is just through, you know, being lucky to have these people come into my life, and you know, getting this dream team together.
Fantastic. So over the weekend, we've had some new government guidance that has said shops, I don't consider it what you have as a shop, I consider it much more a kind of experiential boutique. It's much more than that to me. But technically, I think you guys might be allowed to open from the middle of June.
Yeah,
How do you feel about that? What are your plans?
our
What's
plans were for the middle of June. A couple of weeks ago, we started talking about this, and we thought we'll take the first few weeks of June, because we thought that they would say from the 1st of June that you could open. So yeah, we're going to look at this. We're going to make sure that we're ready. We're going to make sure it's a safe environment for both our precious clients and the precious team that we'll be serving.
How do you make it a safe environment? Sorry, probing question.
We've got a big meeting about it today, actually. We are looking at only having one space where we see brides for the first month or so we can test the model. So the stylist will rotate, so only one person's exposed to clients at the same time. And then we'll use one set of samples, and the bride will be able to bring one guest from her household, or somebody that she's been socializing with, not somebody that she's also not, because then they can interact as they would.
Yeah.
And we will, yeah, I think we're going to insist on masks, sadly, obviously, if they want to have a look at themselves and take it off with their guest. But yeah, just so we're not exposing anybody from our germs or their germs. And then we're just going to try that for a month. We've got a good number of brides that are intending on still getting married this year, fingers crossed, or early next year, that are all desperate to get in for their brides. And we've got hundreds waiting for 2021, 22 weddings. So yeah, on weekends we're going to open both the atelier fitting rooms and the boutique, so we'll be able to see two sets of brides, but in very separate spaces with separate stylists. But yeah.
Will you, because I know you've been very successfully hosting virtual appointments over the past couple of months, will you still be doing those at the same time?
Yeah. Yes, we think we will, because then what can happen is when the bride comes, we can put an edit together. And so we do split screens, we look at the collection, we look at the Instagram account, we look at things that they've seen that they like, we talk about their body, what they love about their body, in the same way, you know, that we would in the beginning of an appointment. So it's just when you're in, it gives you more time to try things on slowly and carefully. And yeah.
Do you get involved with those virtual appointments as well? Was it your team who?
No, I've done some too, yeah, but mainly the girls. Yeah.
And that's kind of thing, I think some boutique owners and designers have been quite nervous about how that would work, but the ones who've done it, I think, have found it a really enjoyable experience.
Yeah, we've had lovely feedback from the brides, just saying, you know, such and such was amazing today. I feel really inspired, and they're just feeling nurtured and looked after. So yeah.
And how does that work? So if you have an appointment virtually and you come to the conclusion that there's a dress or a small number of dresses that would suit the bride, what happens next? Are they sent those dresses, or how does that work?
We are looking at ways in which we could do delivery of samples and working with concierge companies to do that. But no, it is then the next stage is the minute we're open, you're on the list to get booked in. So yeah.
But then that experience would be so much easier because you've already had that consultation. And yeah. Okay, that's very
yeah. Well, thank you.
I just wanted to ask you before we finish.
Yeah.
Do you think that the whole experience of the pandemic and lockdown will change how brides shop their dresses going forward?
Yes, I think those brides that would go to every Tom, Dick and Harry and every shop and go and try everything on and then go again and again and again, that's not going to happen. There isn't going to be the availability for appointments. We were already so at the max booked out with 2 fitting rooms and 3 and 4 fitting rooms on weekends with the 2 spaces, and that's not going to be available now because of the social distancing measures that we're going to have to take into place, and the way that we're going to have our team working. That no, if you there will be a little more pressure on making decisions in appointments, because I just think facilitating, all of those appointments will be much harder. Not that we wouldn't want you to come back, we've always said there's no pressure. We come back, try on again, make sure this is the one. You're not buying a washing machine, you're making a massive emotional and financial investment. So but I think just for the time being you will need to be stricter on who you visit, to try and to get that narrowed down in an appointment.
And do you think, because like weddings at the minute, we've not really got anything concrete, have we, to go by in terms of when they may start? I know there's some guidance that says they're small weddings, but there's no sort of definition of what a small wedding is.
No.
So it's really difficult to kind of reassure brides from that emotional perspective, and obviously that's something we all really, really keen to do.
I mean, we haven't got a crystal ball that tells us, and I think the problem is we don't know. The government don't know, and I think that's why so many mixed messages and strangeness out there are happening, because they've never ever experienced it in their lifetime, and we're all navigating this insane journey together in such a blindfolded kind of crazy way. So I just know that when your wedding does happen, it is just going to be immensely love loaded, and the celebrations are going to be bigger and better than ever. So
that feels like a good note to end on, Kate. Something nice and positive.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure and lovely to chat with you. And I look forward to sharing this video as part of a written piece as well, in which we'll share some images from your beautiful new collection, the Daydreamer collection. So, and anybody watching and listening can contact your team. They can book a virtual appointment. And they can also get in touch about obviously visiting, all being well, when you open your doors.
Hopefully sometime in June, and then slowly steady to start.
Right. And it's been such a pleasure to chat with you, Kate, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.